The woman just lifted the curtain.
Suddenly, a fierce barrage hit the glass.
Fortunately, she reacted quickly.
She swiftly grabbed her two crying daughters and hid in the basement. She had to temporarily leave her comatose husband inside. This was countless raids already. The soldier kicked her husband's lifeless body. Then he peeled the gold watch off his wrist
and then walked away.
This outcome could be considered fortunate. Sometimes Xiaona barely had time to escape.
She found herself cornered by soldiers.
She had to remain calm, taking the opportunity to reach for a knife behind her. Just as the soldier attempted to assault her, Xiaona falsely claimed to be a woman. Because Muslim soldiers despised women,
although she was subjected to a torrent of insults,
she managed to preserve her bodily integrity. This is war-torn Afghanistan.
The civilians are suffering immensely.
Under the dual torment of war and feudalism, women's lives are fraught with internal and external troubles. Just as that batch of soldiers left, a stuttering boy barged in. He threw a pile of money on the ground and began to undress Xiaona. This time, Xiaona couldn't escape the assault. Afterward, Xiaona looked at that young and handsome face, and his youthful demeanor resembles her husband in his youth. She couldn't help but feel some pity for him. So for many consecutive days, Stutterer comes to find Xiaona with money every day. Sometimes he helps her fix the doors and windows. Gradually, Xiaona developed some affection for the Stutterer, yet the enemy was rampaging at this time,
rampantly killing in the village.
Villagers were hiding or fleeing.
The neighbor lady was frightened silly.
Her yard was a mess full of bodies. Even Xiaona's younger brothers all abandoned them and fled every day.
For the sake of her two daughters,
Xiaona had to leave her husband in a vegetative state and take the children to seek refuge with her aunt. Her aunt is a woman of no repute, but she was Xiaona's only family left.
Once the two children were safe temporarily,
Xiaona, despite the risk to her life,
returned home to care for her husband.
After a few days, her husband was already on the verge of death, even without a body to mourn.
Yet despite this,
Xiaona still took the money from the Stutterer to buy serum to save her husband. There had never been love between them, only a bit of responsibility and a title. Xiaona looked at her useless husband, a pain within her that's hard to express. But Xiaona practiced Islam, another devout Muslim. Since childhood, she has followed the teachings of the Quran. She can't abandon her husband who is still alive, but she has no outlet for her suffering. What she needs now is a stone of patience.
It is said to listen to people's pain.
So she looks at her motionless husband and uses him as her stone of patience. Xiaona's life has been full of bitterness, and her life represents the struggles of many, the deep waters and fiery lives of Afghan women. Xiaona's father loved fighting quail. It had reached a mad level.
Whenever he lost a quail fight,
he would return home to beat up his wife and daughter. Once, after losing a match again, he lost all his money. He sold his 12-year-old daughter Xiaona to the eldest son of the Li family, but the Li's eldest son was still fighting. Even on their wedding day, Xiaona ended up marrying only a photo.
Yet despite this,
Xiaona remained proud to have married a war hero, and she finally escaped that.
A father who loved gambling.
But Xiaona never expected that her miserable life was just beginning. Because her husband was away, her mother-in-law slept next to Xiaona every night to watch her. So every night, I slept next to Xiaona. It has been 3 years of being monitored by my mother-in-law. My husband finally returned home. That was the first time Xiaona met her husband, nervous and shy at the same time. However, her husband was extremely indifferent to her. Even at night, it was mostly just noise with little action. It was all just a mechanical routine, and the mother-in-law was secretly watching outside the door, afraid of marrying an unalterable daughter-in-law. A few days later, her husband returned to the battlefield, but he couldn't leave Xiaona with the child. The mother-in-law thought Xiaona was infertile. So she found all sorts of strange remedies for Xiaona. Because she couldn't get pregnant, the mother-in-law grew tired of her and looked down on her. She always picked on her for no reason.